Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
I am always up for exploring a new topic.
Well, today we're going to be digging into something pretty fascinating. The history of veganism.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I think you'll be surprised by how far back this whole idea goes. We're working with excerpts from a book called The History of Veganism.
Okay.
And let me tell you, it's not just about tofu and tempeh. I mean, veganism, it's got roots in ancient philosophy, religious traditions, even ties into pop culture.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, so get ready to have your mind blown.
Yeah.
Like, did you know that there were folks living plant-based lifestyles centuries before the word vegan was even a thing?
Really?
Yeah, the book talks about how ancient Egyptians had this deep reverence for animals.
Right.
Like some of them, they would avoid eating meat or using animal products, kind of like early proto-vegans.
That makes sense. I mean, you see it in their art and their rituals, right?
Yeah.
The strong connection with the animal world.
Exactly. And it wasn't just Egypt. Over in India, you had these long-standing traditions like Jainism, Buddhism, and Hinduism
Yeah.
that emphasized this concept of ahimsa.
Ah, yes, ahimsa. That's a big one.
Yeah, and it's not just about nonviolence, right?
No, it's much deeper than that. It's this whole philosophy about minimizing harm in every aspect of life.
Right, like recognizing that we're all interconnected.
Exactly. So you see how ahimsa really laid the groundwork for vegetarianism and veganism to flourish in those cultures.
It's fascinating to think about how these ideas, they transcend time and place, like we're seeing echoes of those ancient beliefs in the modern vegan movement.
Absolutely. And the book even mentions how ancient Greek philosophers like Pythagoras were big proponents of plant-based living.
Oh yeah, Pythagoras, wasn't he like obsessed with numbers and triangles and stuff?
Well, he was known for his mathematical theories, for sure.
Right.
But he was also deeply spiritual, and one of his core beliefs was in the transmigration of souls.
Okay, so like reincarnation.
Yes, but he believed that souls could migrate into animals as well. So, eating meat for him would have been like, well, eating a potential relative or even a past life.
Whoa, that puts a whole new spin on you are what you eat, huh?
Right. So that belief definitely fueled his commitment to vegetarianism. He saw a fundamental connection between all living beings, even on a spiritual level.
Yeah, and that's a powerful motivator, right?
Yeah.
It kind of goes beyond just the health aspects or the environmental stuff. It's about recognizing that fundamental kinship.
Absolutely. And it really foreshadows those ethical arguments we hear for veganism today. It's like, some things haven't changed that much in thousands of years.
Totally. It's not just about diet. It's about aligning your actions with your values, a whole way of life.
Precisely.
So we've got this long history of respecting animal life, but how did we get from there to the organized vegan movement we know today?
Well, the book points to 1847 as a big turning point.
Okay, what happened in 1847?
That's when the Vegetarian Society was founded in the UK.
Oh, wow. So that's like the official start of vegetarianism as a movement.
Pretty much. It really formalized the idea of advocating for plant-based living and brought it into the public consciousness.
I see. But we're talking veganism, not just vegetarianism.
Yeah.
So where does that term come in?
Right. Well, it took a little while longer. It wasn't until 1944 that vegan actually entered the scene.
Okay.
And get this, the term was coined by Donald Watson, along with a few other non-dairy vegetarians. They basically took the first three and the last two letters of vegetarian, V-E-G-A-N.
Ah, that's pretty clever.
Yeah.
So it's like they were taking it a step further, not just no meat, but no animal products whatsoever, right?
Exactly. And Watson, he didn't stop there. He went on to establish the Vegan Society. And that really solidified veganism as a full-blown lifestyle choice, rejecting all forms of animal exploitation, from the food we eat to the clothes we wear to the entertainment we choose.
Wow, so this guy, Donald Watson, he really got the ball rolling.
He did.
It's amazing how these ideas, they can start with just a few people and then, boom, explode into this global movement.
It really is inspiring.
So what happened after that? Like, how did veganism go from this niche thing to, what we see today?
Well, the 60s and 70s were a pretty big turning point.
Oh, yeah, that was a time of major social change.
Exactly. You had the rise of environmentalism, the animal rights movement, and this whole counterculture vibe.
It was all about questioning the status quo.
Right. And veganism, it just fit right in.
It was like the perfect storm.
And then you had figures like Peter Singer, who really brought those ethical arguments about animal agriculture into the mainstream conversation.
Oh, yeah, Peter Singer with his book Animal Liberation.
Yes. That book, it was a game changer. It made people really think about the impact of their choices, and it brought a whole new level of awareness to the issue of animal welfare.
Okay, so we've got the ancient roots, the formalization of the movement, and then this surge in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
But then the book talks about this huge vegan boom in the 21st century.
Oh, yeah, things really exploded.
What do you think were the driving forces behind that?
Well, I'd say a few things happened. First, there's been this massive increase in awareness about the environmental impact of animal agriculture.
Right, like how it contributes to greenhouse gas emissions and deforestation and all that.
Exactly. And people are realizing that their food choices, they have a direct impact on the health of the planet.
It's like connecting the dots between what's on your plate and the future of the Earth.
Yeah, and then you've got all these amazing advancements in plant-based food technology. I mean, we've got vegan cheeses that outwardly melt, meat alternatives that taste incredibly realistic, and the options are just growing every day.
It's true. I remember when vegan food was pretty basic, but now it's like a whole culinary adventure. And what about those documentaries like Cowspiracy or The Game Changers? Don't you think those had a big impact?
Oh, absolutely. Social media and documentaries like those, they've been huge in raising awareness. They've given people this window into the realities of factory farming and shown them just how delicious and healthy and sustainable a vegan lifestyle can be.
So it's like all these threads, the environmental concerns, the ethical arguments, the delicious food, and the increased visibility, they've all woven together to create this like perfect storm for veganism.
It really has.
So where does that leave us today in 2024?
Well, the book, it describes veganism as this global movement with millions of adherents, and they're drawn to it for all sorts of reasons. Ethical, environmental, health, you name it.
It's definitely gone mainstream. You see vegan options everywhere now, even in the most unexpected places.
I know. It's amazing to see.
So what do you think the future holds for veganism?
Well, the book predicts continued growth, especially with all the innovations in plant-based and even lab-grown alternatives. We're really on the brink of this food revolution.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be vegan, that's for sure. So we've journeyed from ancient roots to a modern-day movement. It's amazing to see how these ideas, they've evolved and been shaped by philosophy, religion, technology, activism, even social media.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? With veganism becoming more popular and accessible, what role might it play in shaping a more sustainable and compassionate future? Not just for individuals, but for the planet as a whole.
That's a great question to leave our listeners with. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the history of veganism. We encourage you to keep exploring and see where this fascinating journey takes you.